Keeping me honest. Okay.
All right. So tonight's icebreaker is, what did you want to be when you grew up, when you were little? I don't know if I posted the question correctly. So when you were little, what did you want to be when you grew up? So I'll start. When I was little, I wanted to be a veterinarian, and then later on, when I found out that you had to treat injured animals, not just cute puppies, I wanted to be a marine biologist. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, and I pass it to Ula.
that's actually funny. I wanted to be a marine biologist, but that's later already. But actually, I wanted to be a priest. Like I was, I swear, I was always playing priest with my best friend. Like giving, well, I grew up Catholic, so yeah, I wanted to be a priest, or eventually I wanted to be a nun. But that was like, in the early childhood, till 12 or something. And later, yeah, I wanted to actually be a marine biologist too. Next, Brad.
Yeah. Think I didn't really have one that I was like, oh, that's definitely gonna be what I'm gonna be when I grow up. For a while, I was a farmer. I really wanted to be a farmer. I think we visited a farm or something, and like hanging out with animals seemed cool. And then I think I was a firefighter for a while, both for like short periods of time, but those are the two I remember.
Nice.
Let's see, Jennifer, right below me.
Okay, I went through a veterinarian phase too when I was younger. Then in high school, I took a test that was supposed to be like, what are you matched for? What are you well suited for your interests? And it came out lawyer, international lawyer or something like that.
Oh, wow.
Do you want to pick
Good
something?
professions, guys.
Sorry, Adam.
I always liked like easily definable professional type things like geologist, archaeologist, lawyer, architect, whatever, like one word type things, and science, engineering related. But yeah, so I was in those areas. Yeah. Who hasn't gone? Vivek, are you the only one? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't like have huge. I can't remember too many big aspirations. I think maybe the biggest one I ever had when I was like younger-ish is I wanted to be like a professional soccer player, but I was never really that good at it. In reality, I tried really hard. I was like always hardworking, but just never was like super good. So, and then I guess when I was a little bit older, yeah, I mean, I think I followed after my dad's footsteps. I was like always thinking about business. He was an entrepreneur, so kind of think like I think I was thinking like him. So, yeah, that was me.
That reminded me, I wanted, when I was very little, I wanted to be a figure ice skater, and I grew up in Cancun, so there was my mom was like, yeah, keep dreaming. Yeah.
Where did that come from? Did you watch it?
Yeah, for watching the Winter Games or something.
Oh.
Yes.
Well, yeah, Jeremy, he was almost like a professional ice skater.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. That was a good icebreaker. Nice question.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay, I'll go through the agenda real quick. So we're going to dive into the business model canvas. Partnerships for 15, channels for 10, relationships 10, resources 20, activities 20, revenue 10, costs 10. Brad, is there going to be, do you need time for an intro and all that as well?
Yeah, like, I mean, 2 minutes or something. I think we'll just speed through. I sent you guys the slides, which you didn't necessarily have to go through, but I'll just kind of run through the first two pretty quick.
Okay, great. And then once that's done, we'll do the meeting related chat, and then how did our meeting go? Does anyone want to add to that list? No? Okay.
No time today, don't.
I maybe just like a minor, quick, just update on the finance side of things, but it'll
Sure.
take us like maybe one to 2 minutes or something, just to give folks a little update.
Okay.
At the
Great.
end.
All right, Brad, we'll obviously start with you. If you do get the sense that you need more time for each subject,
Okay.
voice
Yeah,
that
well,
for
I
sure.
mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we'll kind of see as we go through.
Okay.
But the first three are kind of the most important. So I think that they'll be.
Jennifer, you're taking minutes, right? Just checking in. Cool.
Cool.
Excited to see those awesome minutes.
The best minute.
Okay, here we go. Okay, so we've been chatting about this a while. I think we've kind of gone over the basics of what each of these blocks is, but I wanted to kind of frame it again, kind of recap things, and kind of take a little pressure off of us, because I know getting through all of this seems like a lot. It is a lot to go through for one meeting. So, I wanted to kind of simplify things a little bit. I'm sharing my screen. Okay, I did that part. Let me. My buttons are going to present mode. There. Still see it? Cool. All the way from beginning. So to give it from like a very high level, I guess we're going to be using this like a lot to like move on with like a business plan and the feasibility study, but also I think this is really useful for just like creating an elevator pitch. And this is kind of like a template. The sustainable co-op makes whatever we put in for resource, like one of the resources, and does the activity for customer, maybe or maybe not over channels, so they can give, so that the customer can have this value proposition, right? And I think that kind of, hopefully that kind of like simplifies enough to think, oh yeah, this is how we're going to describe, this is like a framework also for like describing what the company does. And so, another way to look at, as we look at activities and resources, that's kind of like, that's where our competitive advantage is a little bit. It's, we're going to take whatever we get from partners and turn that into the value proposition. And anything that isn't really in that, we can kind of trim out things in there. If we don't feel like that is our competitive advantage, then maybe that we just need to find a partner to do that. I think there's going to be some moving back and forth between maybe something as partners that we really want to be a competitive advantage and we can do. Similar on the other side, relationships and channels, when we go through those, for both of them, we want to think about what is the customer seeing, because that's going to be basically everything the customer sees. They're not going to see, they're not really going to see the value proposition. I mean, they're going to get the value proposition, but they're not necessarily going to, they're going to see it through the marketing and everything. They may not really see our activities and our resources and everything else. So, also it's not going to be perfect, and we're going to just kind of iterate and keep moving. So I want to go through an updated plan too, because it changed a little bit, and I think this is kind of a good way to go. We want to move quickly to the feasibility study. So get as much as we can out now. It's still going to have like a brainstorming kind of feel, I bet. So it's going to still feel like a list. It's going to be, we're going to kind of list things that we want on there. And then looking back at where other progress we made, I think it really worked out well, where we had like, there was a lot of research, and then somebody or one or two people took that and kind of boiled it down, summarized it, kind of chewed on it a little bit, and then brought it back brought it back to the group and was able to like present it, and you can see the work that was done. So I think that's a good model for this too. for 1 or 2 people to take this business model canvas and come up with the feasibility study of just a couple points from each block, combine them and say, okay, this is, let's do some research around how feasible this combination of things from each of these blocks is. And I think that's like both take some pressure off of us today, and I think that's pretty doable. Whoever, you know, volunteers for this doesn't have to use everything, doesn't have to, you know, it's not like they don't have to like take this and turn it into a beautiful business plan. They just need to take a little bit of it and prepare this research. So I want to see, is that, you know, that's kind of a new, you know, it's kind of a change, and I wanted to see what people thought about that. If anyone is like, oh, that sounds really exciting, I'd like to do that right now, or, you know, we can hopefully talk about it later at the end.
Just to clarify, like, so, you know, we kind of like, I think the example, well, one of the examples Brad maybe like referring to is like, we did this sort of with the shared objectives. Folks like put together their own objectives, and then Russell and I sort of looked at them and tried to figure out like what things like grouped into what, you know, into each objective, and then we like presented to everybody like, oh, like, you know, each of your objectives fit into these like bigger buckets, and some things were removed like because they fell into the co-op principles, and there were some things that were like debated and maybe just taken off in general, but we tried to summarize high level. And I think what Brad is suggesting is in that same vein, where perhaps, you know, 2 or 3 people can take these laundry lists, or maybe what turns into a laundry list, maybe it's not, but like whatever the brainstorm is for each of these boxes, and perhaps like, you know, some like collapses them into like a slightly shorter list, you know, that has overlap between certain groups, and then presents like, okay, here's the remaining list, so that we can take that list and then start doing like more in-depth research, which would lead into our feasibility study.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure. Yeah.
The things that are being researched, is that all of the blocks on the business model canvas, or a part of the business model canvas?
I think so. I think we're going to want to, for the feasibility study, and Vivek, correct me if I'm wrong, because I think you know a little more about this step, but I think you want to take 1 or 2 things from each block and take them as like as one business, and kind of see how well that business, like that subset of the business works. Like, you know, double check that the partners do supply these and that it's a reasonable price, double check that customers would be willing to pay for it, double check that the activities that would create this value we could do.
I have a suggestion. How about we brainstorm the business model canvas tonight, and then on Slack, choose, we each choose something we want to research. Does that sound like a plan?
Okay.
Well, I think the key is we're going to have this. So today's going to be a big brainstorm, probably continue to be a brainstorm from last week, right? So, like researching any particular item from that list may not be wise, because it could just it may not lead to anything. As Brad was just talking about, and I was just trying to clarify, ideally 2 or 3 people will take that like longer list and sort of collapse it into a more like organized list of items. And then from there, there's going to be a couple items that are like big assumptions, like items that like really we're not sure about. Like we don't have super strong data or information right now. It was just like a thesis. And those will be among the first items that we as a team or individually, or actually more like closer to individual or maybe pairs of people will take up as items that will need researching first, like especially the biggest assumptions, the things that like, if this holds not to be true, then it would like affect most of the business model campus, like those items would be like among the first things that we need to research. Versus like if we start researching anything on this business model canvas that we propose today, like there might be items that just don't make sense at all and we won't use because we're just brainstorming, right? So it's a slightly different approach, but I think this approach would allow for us to be more effective with our time and focus. I hope that is clear.
Maybe, does it make sense that as a group we could narrow brainstorm and then as a group narrow the focus down, like eliminate things that are less
Yeah,
feasible?
I mean, I think that's a possibility too. I think there's a possibility of doing multiple feasibility studies. We probably want to do one at a time, but we could do, we could have multiple groups. Like one group finishes it and then another group says, okay, I like this group. I like these things from these blocks. So I want to go off and do a feasibility study on those. And then we can kind of iterate from there, I believe.
All right, carry on. I just, I don't mean to hold you up.
No, that's fine. And I think if we have time, we can pick it up. It might make more sense after we go through the process to talk about next steps. So, cool. So let me let's jump into it. Did anyone else have any other comments or anything, or should I just jump into this?
I lost you guys for 10 minutes there. My internet went out completely, but
okay, we were chatting about kind of next steps, and we have a couple ideas on how to do the feasibility study. We're going to follow up at the end of the meeting.
Okay, great. All right, it's 20 after, so we're a bit 10 minutes behind already, but
okay.
It's all right. We'll push it out.
All right, we're moving right along. Let me do this, and I'm going to. Okay, key partners. So hopefully everyone saw that video that Vivek found, and then we've been posting on Slack. Questions. Yeah. Okay. So I get a link there. I think this is definitely going to be, so let's, does everyone understand what key partners are? Is there any?
I do.
Okay. So it's like any, yeah, I guess who wants to start? Who wants to start thinking about like suppliers, definitely, or?
Packaging companies.
Yeah.
Vendors.
Is there a type of like, are you thinking like local vendors, or are you thinking like food vendors?
Yeah, I mean both, kind of like all.
Okay.
Whether it's farmers, whether it's producers, they could be both local or on a national level, I imagine, and maybe in some scenarios even international, perhaps.
Shipping companies.
Sorry, what was that?
Shipping companies. Or like
Distribution.
I don't
Okay,
know.
distribution, shipping.
Mhm.
Good one. Yeah. Who else? Other businesses we would interact with.
Our competition.
They're not partners though.
Yeah, they are. It is a competition with strategic partnership.
Oh,
for example, there are tech co-ops. They actually collaborate with each other.
Yeah, those are kind of in like rare scenarios.
That's what.
So like,
I was in a video. That's why I have it.
Would you say like?
That's if they want
other co-ops.
Yeah.
other
I mean,
co-ops.
what's a competitor that you would imagine us like? I mean, key partner is like what you imagine.
I think it could be like, for example, they care and they would like to support us. They see us starting and they're like, oh, they are just starting. So
Community businesses, like
community or similar stores, even similar co-ops.
Yeah,
Okay.
similar co-ops. That's true.
Similar co-ops, I think.
Or other co-ops. I mean,
that's
maybe.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The co-op
Because they are
community.
not like, they want more co-ops to exist, not less.
Yeah, but that's
Mhm.
different.
But it's
What
also,
about-
I think it's a way, in a way, it's a competition because they are selling similar products what we do the same way, right?
Yeah, I think that's a bigger umbrella. It's competitive businesses.
What about
Um,
advertising companies?
Advertising.
Can we add local farmers?
Yeah, what did I say? Local producers. Do you think local producers covers that, or do you think local farmers would be a different?
I think it'd be slightly different.
Okay,
Like,
it would be like a different relationship.
exactly.
Yep. Okay.
Mhm.
What else? Another community. What else is in the community that would be?
Local government.
Really, I mean, local, like state, if there's like state grants or
Yeah.
state, national, like,
Just general policies.
mhm.
Working with like lawmakers and how like that support cooperative efforts.
do,
Definitely, like cooperatives are known to pay better and have better job security. So there's usually
sure, yeah. Definitely for like job creation, there's tons of, job creation, like, I don't know about grants, but it's like tax breaks and stuff, right? So we'd have to work with them to get those.
I don't know if this would fit here, like banks or people that fund us.
What is it?
That goes somewhere
What?
else.
Bands?
Banks or like people that fund us, like
So like a Kickstarter, like
yeah,
kind of thing?
yeah, I don't know if that goes there actually.
I mean, that's kind of like a partnership. Yeah, I mean, like that's pretty good. I can put that like Kickstarter backers. Is that?
Or we could have members if we do like a member.
Yeah.
Consumer.
Members?
foundations on that line.
Oh, foundations. We do members, foundations on the same line then. I mean, actually, like Kickstarter in general, like the company probably, right? Because we're going to be using Kickstarter. Well, I guess I'm assuming we're going to use something like Kickstarter. I think Vivek, you mentioned it in an email with the the group there.
Maybe educators, if we will have that education part. So some kind of educators we will have to partner with, unless we want to teach or educate people, but
Sure.
And therein, like
public
local
speakers
schools.
in the field. So I think maybe it would fit
Oh
as
yeah, like
educators.
speaking of what, maybe like or like on that, just like influencers, like kind of people who are not like have knowledge on that in the sustainability world. Yeah, that could be true.
Like social media, right? We do.
Or I mean, just broadly, like people who have who are like capable of speaking on these topics. Yeah.
I was thinking
Influence.
Go ahead.
No, Jennifer.
Or if we're gonna sell, there's groups that if you're gonna offset your carbon or whatever, groups that plant trees for carbon offsets.
Yeah.
Yeah, carbon
Good point.
offset groups, companies, maybe. Yeah, I don't know too much about that ecosystem, but there's definitely something there. Who else does complementary work that we could what other groups like the Sierra Club or that we might work with that also
Who is
do
that,
like
like foundation?
environmental.
Nonprofits, foundations.
Okay, members foundations. Let me add nonprofits in here.
Like in the video, they suggest to ask this question, right? One of the questions was, what resources are we acquiring from the partners? So to help us find who it is. So what else is it that we are
Financial.
acquiring?
We covered government. Kind of talked about communities.
I think we cover most of like we're talking about money. We're talking about the goods that we'll be selling.
There's definitely banks in general, probably local banks.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Or financing, just like regular loans.
Good point. Yeah.
Working capital loans.
Yeah, that's a good point. Financial institutions. Credit unions.
Yeah, let me do it credit unions because that's probably more. I was trying to think of a more specific word for that, but credit unions is good.
Yeah, financial institutions or credit unions or banks. I mean, they all.
What else do we have on this list? Some of my notes are kind of sparse for the first one. Partnerships, suppliers.
Maybe local community groups. Some sort of, I don't know.
Yeah, who would be like a? It's like.
There's online communities and actually geographical communities.
That's good.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna put.
I don't know too much about these type of things, but I think they exist.
Must have a good list going. The text is getting small.
Yeah.
How we doing on time?
We're okay. 6 minutes behind. I think.
Okay.
Start moving on.
Yeah, we have a good list.
Yeah, this is pretty good. I can't. There we go. Now we can move it. Okay, cool. Let's leave it there.
Nice work, guys.
Nice.
Nice.
Moving right along. We get customer relationships. Okay, so this is going to sit in between value proposition and the customers. Yeah, so this is like the relationship that the customers are expecting or that we can give to our customers. Let me expand this box. So definitely this one's always tricky for me because I always overlap it with like channels. Like I always think like, oh, we're going to send them emails, and emails is really the channel. Just if I don't know if anyone else is like that.
Right. This category feels more like a conversation than it does like a list of items.
Yeah.
It's like, I guess like if we're walking down the street, we see a store like this, what type of interaction do you expect to have with this store? How do you want to interact with regarding sales and membership and all that?
Yeah. Well, there's definitely the educational part, right? That's going to be a continuing thing.
Right. Is there a comparable business that people, is there like a Whole Foods or a Costco or an existing business that seems in the lane of where we want to go with our?
Yeah. I think we keep coming back to Whole Foods. At least I come back to Whole Foods in my mind. So what?
When I think about education, I think of a store. I think about Apple, or like Apple does like these like classes and stuff like that on how to use your Mac or your iPhone and things like that, which I think are pretty awesome. I sent out an article just the other day on Publix, the Florida-based grocery store, and they focused a lot of energy and a lot of attention on the customer experience, like making sure the customers have like a really good experience when they enter the store. So that's also sort of in the same vein, I would say.
Yeah.
Maybe okay, let's get into like, do you guys see a membership fee if someone were to become a member of the co-op?
Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah, I would imagine.
I would
sure.
have to see how
So
the
there's like a clubhouse kind of, well, not Clubhouse the app, but you know, like
Costco, maybe like Costco.
Costco, that's probably a good one. Yeah. So it's got a little bit of a Costco thing where there's like a you're like part of a club.
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, that to me has been, I've been wanting to like understand that better, because I think I've done a little bit of research on this, and I've heard if you can set up some sort of membership system, there might be a way to get like a price advantage for the customer. So yeah.
Right. I mean,
yeah.
I've been just knowing about Costco. They make almost no money off of, you know, most of their sales. They make their money off of their memberships.
Yeah.
I guess the question is like, how hard is that going to be if we have 0 members to start, and at what scale would that be useful? Like if we have 1,000 customers, can we do it? Versus if we have 1 million customers?
Yeah, I guess that'll be for like the feasibility study, the component too.
Yeah, that's a good one.
If that like becomes one of our big, especially if that's like one of our big assumptions, like that's probably like an early one to like research.
I'm gonna say knowledgeable about, like, let me say staff is knowledgeable about sustainability.
Yeah. That's a good point, yeah.
Like going into a grocery store in general, I feel like a good grocery store, you can like just stop anyone like stocking and be like, where is this thing? And they'll be like, oh yeah, it's just like right over there in the corner, second lane down, you know, second aisle, first row.
But just even your point, I think before, that's a great one, right? Like knowing about sustainability, like stuff, you know, people are going to have questions, and why is this sustainable and why is that not, or like, why do you have this?
Yeah, what do these standards mean? Yeah, I'm sure that's like a
Also, like the question there is how often would you interact with your customers? I don't know, like
that's a good one.
Answering that question on top of the mirror board or the mirror frame right there where it says customer relationship. So would it be like, I mean,
yeah, that's good,
on a weekly basis, like more or less, or like, is that the kind of answer that goes here? I'm a little confused about this.
Yeah, definitely, because I think that, you know, you have a very different relationship with you know, companies that you interact with daily compared to monthly, right?
Yeah.
So is this, so I guess like if you were just getting groceries, it's probably like once a week, right? That's what we would expect. Like even our like best customers or best members would be coming in once a week.
Yeah.
But if there's like an educational aspect, there could be like, if there's like online courses, people could be coming in, you know, every day for like a short course on something, if we have enough content.
Yeah, or even like, you know, weekly email with some kind of information, educational information to start.
That's a channel, right? The emails you mentioned, those are channels.
Sure. So I was thinking like weekly.
Yes, sir.
Weekly communication or updates.
Someone mentioned the possibility of events, that sometimes there are events.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a little bit of a channel. So there's probably educational events come to mind for me. Do you think there's like other types of events? Is there like
yeah, we could have cooking events, for example, right? Because we will, if we have this kitchen, so we could have like monthly cooking class. How to cook with just sustainable things.
Yeah, I think education and stuff is important. I think also fun is important.
Yeah, so I was wondering like what kind of fun things, like would we have like concerts, or is it like, are we more of like the book, is it like the book signing crowd really that we're attracting here, or?
There's a store near me where there's $2 drafts and you could just drink while you're walking around the store. It's really nice.
The Whole Foods near me does that. They have like a wine night. You can go.
Or yeah, like on that fun component, it could be like, yeah, we could organize it would play into the events component, but like we could organize like, cleanups or maybe like organizing, efforts like live efforts like Jennifer did for that petition for, petitioning our government to do certain things, especially on a local level.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Building community, really, which might be kind of like to the that could be just like one of these like umbrella statements is like customer relationship. Like a lot of our customer relationship could be a lot about building community, and like a bunch of the items just mentioned could probably fall into that.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna put community building, and that'll be like a big one.
Just to expand on that too, it's like as if our store is the politician that people rely on to push our whatever they believe in, which is in this case this green sustainability. Like we will advocate for the people who shop for us.
Yeah.
Or I mean, I hear that. I think what another way I think about it is like we create the space, the canvas, like the like opportunity for people to come together. We like help with the creation of that so that people like-minded individuals can come together. It's a kind of a hub for that. But yeah, I mean these are all sort of the same.
Sure. Yeah, I hear you, but it's like as we get more powerful, like Patagonia.
Oh yeah, totally.
They do a ton of like land conservation that that their users cannot. So it's like,
oh yeah, totally. Yeah.
You're doing good things with our property.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like I said, I always talk about organic value is like they push through USD organic. Yeah, totally.
All right, let's keep moving.
Yeah, that's good. It's channels next. What do I got next?
Channels.
Key resources. When is the order? And I do channels. Okay, I'm jumping around. This is probably good to jump around. Channels. Where were we? Partners, customer relationships. Just did. Now we're at channels. Right?
Yep.
Okay. So we covered a couple of them.
Nice work.
Customers want to be reached. Okay.
We're cruising today. This is nice.
Yeah. So definitely website. I'm gonna get some like easy ones here. Social media, email. We already talked about events.
The store itself, right? When the store sort of count as a channel.
Yeah. Retail space, I'm gonna call it. If you think about what else, so we're building up this community. What else does the community use now as a channel?
So maybe that, right? Is it our community? Is that would that be considered a channel? Or is that? I think that's.
Well, the channel is like, is like. I'm gonna put Facebook down here. It's the community is like a more broad term, I guess. And I guess events is too, but it's what's the like how do people get to that community, right? And how do people, what's the actual space called?
Yeah.
Right. Be like, I guess like something a little more specific would be like churches. Like, I don't know if this is, maybe churches isn't the way we want to go, but like the church is like the space,
Yeah.
Which kind of is like the retail space is like the space that we're going to use. that we fill out.
What about like online groups? Maybe like a subreddit or Facebook group or something like that.
So yeah, definitely Facebook. I'm gonna do groups, Twitter, Reddit. Reddit's a good one.
Definitely Instagram. I mean, it's social media. Yeah.
Is there communities? I'm not on Instagram. Are there communities on Instagram? Is it a little bit
Well,
like
it's
Twitter where it's like
hashtags are big, you know.
yeah,
It's definitely like, you know, influencers on social like Twitter, Instagram is huge. Can be huge.
I always thought that the issue of schools in America and the quality of food that they give to their students, not just that, but like students who you know depend on schools for food would be a good way to kind of
yeah,
be one of our like charitable causes that also can get us you know channeled into these schools. So say
definitely.
for mixed communities, especially like, oh, this co-op supports our food program in this school. So I'm a wealthier person in the school. I'm going to support that co-op as well. And you know, so kind of democratizes those areas a little bit. But, and just as a media marketing strategy as well, it just feels like a nice.
Do you think school fundraisers? Is that a good channel in some ways? You know, I mean, like, you know, some companies do like they have like the marching band walk around town with their catalog and they like place orders. Does anyone know this, or is this just like a Midwest thing?
I love marching bands, but I don't know that.
I think we're thinking more of partnerships, like with schools.
That may be more of a partnership. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to think of what else. Right. Let me go to the questions here. Channels customers want to be reached, competitors reaching their customers. What's like so like what is Whole Foods?
Like, I'm sure paid ads. I'm sure all of us, or not all, but I'm definitely getting lots of ads from you know our competitors now. Like
I'm gonna split this up and just say online magazine, or let me just say print. That'll cover a little more bases. Online, print. Then we're doing TV. I don't know if TV really fits into it, but billboards.
Too big, too early, but but
who watches TV now?
We could do
Only
YouTube.
commercials.
Sorry, Jennifer.
We could have a YouTube channel.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
This is why we need Russell. Russell, that would have been the first one. I just said Russell.
Reaching customers.
That's good. Events.
What about some local? I think Adam was trying to hit on this. I don't know if but like maybe some sort of local initiatives. Like I don't know, especially when you open a physical space. Like, sorry.
That doesn't count as an event.
Yeah, maybe it's events or something.
I could expand on this. You know what's a good that are kind of like events around me? Farmers markets have kind of opened up to businesses. I don't know how people what farmers like markets are like around other people, but they've kind of opened it up to like just kind of like all local craft businesses or just kind of like anyone who wants to put up a booth, really. I don't know if that's how they are across the country.
But maybe we can write like local like community centers. Like to your point, like maybe we would work with like, you know, like a local church, synagogue, mosque or something. Like,
yeah.
You know, it's local, like a local school, high school.
Community centers is good.
Find the word congregation works for all those.
Okay, a local congregation. Yeah, that's great. Great.
Yeah. Events. What's more? I'm gonna put farmers markets. Are there any other events that like would be relevant that we can go to and kind of pass out, like pass out flyers or
Well, there is like those places where they do like compost centers or something like that. Where they collect compost, because they stop. For example, in New York, it's like that. Maybe over there, they
to
create
put up flyers or something.
compost only.
Print billboards. I'm gonna add flyer. I'm gonna put flyers down here.
Could be like local concerts too. Local concerts or events, it's like sometimes like in smaller towns, I know they have like these like local bands and
or yeah, we could like sponsor events like that.
Yeah, sponsorships. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Cool.
Events.
Sponsorships. That's amazing.
Okay, was that, what do we say for channel? Was that, do we want to do 10 minutes on channels?
Yes.
Okay. There's water and everything. Does that feel pretty good? We filled up that block.
Maybe also like this is like a fun one. I'm just thinking like, assuming like we're gonna focus. We have this heavy focus on delivery, like the delivery trucks itself, or delivery vehicles themselves, using them as like billboards. Like Fresh Direct in New York, for example, has these trucks that cruise around all over New York, and you see there like that.
Oh, you know what? That's a good. I'm going to expand on. We said distribution, right?
Yeah.
Over in partnerships.
Yeah.
Where do we say it? Distribution.
So
I'm going to do shipping, delivery.
in the channels. Yeah.
I'm going to expand on that. Okay. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, because the delivery, you're like interacting with the customer through these delivery apps. Okay. Let me, does there anyone else have any last ideas before we move on? Cool.
Yeah.
Channels.
Also, we suggested like after we try some of them, like we need to do evaluation. So they said like you need to do a survey and see what works best.
We like a customer survey?
That's in the feasibility study component, probably.
No, after we already are like open and we're doing all this.
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
but that's one way that the customer is going to interact with us, right?
Yeah.
I think that makes, that's good.
Sorry, Erica?
Maybe that goes in customer relationships. Like
Oh yeah, because I guess that's ongoing. Yeah, let me put that there. That's good.
Good.
Okay. Customer surveys, resources. Okay, so digging into resources, this is in between the partners and the value proposition. These are also going to include resources that we need to provide that customer relationship and get to those, provide those channels. So, so I'm going to get, this might be one that people don't think of right away, but I'm going to put down steering committee. So all of us are it's two M's, right? Two COMMITT. Yeah. Steering committee. That's one. That's a good one. This is two value proposition. So what do we need?
With financials.
Yeah, money. Financials.
Yeah, like I'm going to call it capital.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. Yeah.
But knowledge.
No. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's a good. Yeah. I think knowledge.
For the
That makes sense.
budget, the capital is broken into, don't we break the capital into like the startup costs and the startup costs and operational costs?
Yeah, I think we'll in cost structure we can break it down a little more, but for in the context of resources, it's just like a pool of money, right? That we'll need. So I think this is good for this block.
The space.
Yeah, yeah, definitely retail space.
Website.
As well.
Yeah, website's good.
Really,
What
the whole
other
supply chain, I think, would expand on that a bit.
supply chain isn't really, I don't think that's something we would own. I mean, would you agree? I think resources are things that we own as a group.
Well, the distribution network, the retail space, the distribution center component of that, I assumed we would be more
Like a warehouse kind of? Is that what you're thinking? Like warehouse space?
I thought so, yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with Adam. I think that the supply chain is I think actually that's going to be a real competitive advantage.
Okay.
What I see, where often when I do this research on comparable companies, I think where they oftentimes find the price benefit is when they work really closely with the producers of the product, and then they figure out all the logistics of it so that there can be that cost saving on the product instead of dealing with the middleman. So yeah, I would argue that.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
It's also because existing supply chains, I don't think could curate what we want to do in our stores. So we have to own part of that.
Good point. Yeah, really good point.
That's a good point. I'm trying to fit this all in. Okay. Let me go back to my list. What resources do our value propositions require? Let me go back to that value propositions list. It's kind of tiny. Let's see. Yeah, so what kind of stuff do we need? Let's dig into education a little bit. We talked about knowledge, so that's definitely it. You need teachers, right? So
It's something that we acquire from the key partners. So what do we have in the key partners?
yeah. What else are we acquiring from the key partners? There's definitely what's a good stock or inventory, I guess. I think it's a really basic one, but let's see.
Because they can be intellectual or human. Yeah, so you said teachers, but also isn't it the staff? I mean, meaning people who work there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess yeah. Sorry, I was going to expand employees.
Employees, yeah.
Or members.
What about just oh yeah, you wrote this inventory. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I'm still stuck on education. So we would need, let's say we were going to do videos, we would need I guess there's a whole bunch of hardware for that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
You mean like filmmakers and the equipment?
Yeah. Trying to think of what like equipment without getting too specific.
I just
what-
I feel like you could have a small studio space like in your building where you do classes and then you do your YouTube and then, you know, just multi-purpose really.
Let me do, yeah, that's good. Teaching space and equipment. Okay. I don't have to dig into that too much. Channels. The online channels are pretty self-explanatory, you know, we're just gonna use your computers. Let's see. Relationships.
Human resources, did we say that? Or human
Yeah.
resources?
Is there any like specific, without getting into you know, like things that we would do? Is there a specific thing in HR that you think? Like we talked about teachers being as like, you know, as employees, like people we employ would be doing some teaching.
No, I don't have anything specific.
No. I think we've been thinking a lot about there's like, you know, like any of these like Facebook groups, Twitter, Reddit, you know, the advantage there is there, you know, there is no like equipment we need, or like there's not much you know, it's like it's kind of like knowledge work. There's not like a lot of overhead. For the retail space,
But to that point, maybe to your point, like right, content creators or does that fall into?
Well, teacher, like, do you want me to do teachers, content creators? I guess in some sense they're going to be. They could be doing slightly different things. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely could, you know,
Yeah.
definitely good.
Yeah, I think we might all agree that we don't want to underestimate any of the workers in the cooperative.
Mhm.
The you know, someone who stocks the shelves can also maybe be a filmmaker.
Yeah. I'm gonna put retail workers in there. I don't know. I haven't really worked retail. Is there anything retail specific, like resources that you would need besides the building, besides the space?
Supplier.
And
You would need all sorts of systems, point of sale,
okay, yeah, that's good.
inventory management.
POS. I'll just do inventory. Well, management. Yeah, what else in that sense? What is there? There's like retail furniture kind of stuff, right?
You-
We'll do furnishings. I'm gonna put that all in the same. Oh, let me make that a different thing. So that's gonna be like on top of the space. We're also gonna have to buy like, you know, tables and shelves and stuff.
Security.
Is that all fall? Is all that fall into key resources?
Key resources.
I don't know. I mean, I guess you're probably right. I hadn't thought about it that way, but
I guess that's getting pretty specific. So I mean, maybe it's
Oh,
you
So
don't have
like
to go too far down that rabbit hole.
I was going to say contacts. Sometimes contacts can be resources. Contacts.
Yeah, like a database of contacts. Sure, that's good. I guess that kind of ties into. I guess I'm now on board with the supply chain thing because that's like you're building up a supply, like a list of people you contact and relationships like that. Yeah, that's like has value. Yeah.
yeah, but where's the line drawn between that and key partners?
Well, I think the partner is like the actual company, right?
Mm-hmm. The vendors and stuff.
Yeah. Whereas this is like we're kind of listing intellectual property.
Oh yes. Okay.
That's kind of that's where it's like coming
makes
in my mind, you know.
What about a brand, right? We need a brand.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. Is there anything else we should, is there anything else that goes with brand? Did I take any notes on?
The
What
name.
about some tech stuff, Brad?
Some what?
What about like any of the tech work, like whether it's
Definitely website, I think,
but
covers a lot
beyond
of
just
it.
like even like any of the back end resources for that or
Or-
maybe that just falls under website, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we got website, point of sale, inventory management,
And what about all the skills that
customer
are
relationship management. Oh, they do any of that.
like those like the skills that are necessary? Like I don't know, like we need a lawyer and we need people that does like branding and marketing. All of those. How do you call them?
That fall
We can put
under
that.
staff or
Office, accounting, no. Well, I guess law, we wouldn't probably have like a lawyer on staff, right? But we probably would have an accountant though, right?
Yes.
Or
might need it.
a manager that can count.
Accountant, would I say accountant? Yeah, not accounting. Jennifer, what did you have? Sorry, did you say another one?
I was going to say I'm getting confused as to what are resources and what are costs. It sounds like some of these are like things that are costs.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess all the resources are going to cost something, right? I guess the costs are kind of like almost like a summary of the activities and the resources, and what the partners are going to charge. I guess if they charge anything, where that's applicable. So these are all going to come up, again in cost structure.
internal training.
Oh, that's probably an activity.
Uh-huh.
That's a good one though. Internal training. Cool. I think that's pretty good. Does anyone
Yeah.
have like a last? Did we do? I think since we've already thought of one activity. Any last ones? Cool. Okay, so activities, very similar between partnerships and value proposition. It's also all like activities we're going to do to provide that customer relationship and through those channels. Test value. So these are like individual tasks that we're going to be doing.
Marketing.
Yeah, let me do okay. Marketing. Good. Internal training.
Having the online platform.
Yeah, so like social media content. Let me do social media.
Managing.
I think you meant like the online like
No, store,
maintenance,
right.
this online store maintenance.
Oh, okay.
I mean, fulfilling orders.
Yes, that's the activity.
Customer support.
You think, what do you, I guess, since we're talking about customer support, do you see email, phone, or social media customer support?
I mean,
Do you think like all of the above?
That would depend also our like customer relationship. What
Yeah.
kind of customer relationship we want to have. So maybe it will be actually a physical person in the store and another one online.
I think for me, it's like any of those could work. I would be something I would want to research and sort of understand.
Like if you go, for example, to Trader Joe's wine store, which we have just one, and then you have all those people who know about the wine and they advise you, and you don't spend there half an hour, but you spend 5 minutes and you come out with like 3 bottles of wine, right? So, and that's why people go there and shop. So that would be also good to have a person in the store who would answer all those questions.
Like personal assistance. Yeah. But
Yeah.
I might go more in like the relationship part. They have like
But that's also a task. Like it's going to be something like it's going to be somebody's job in the store to walk around asking. It's kind of both.
Cannot
Right.
both, I think so.
Because somebody's also going to have to do that.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, there's just sort of defined differently. It's like one is like in customer relationships. It's like I would define it as personalized touch or something, personalized experience, and key activities. That's
Yeah, that's really good.
person customer support.
Mhm.
Should I update that over here? Was it where did we put it? Building it quickly. Customer surveys.
Why would it mean just selling key activity?
No, that's
Then retail. No.
not just selling. It's just more just like personalized experience, just like you said.
No. Okay. Next one, I was already thinking.
Maintaining retail store. Yeah, like what were you saying? You were saying you had something.
No, I meant like
retail.
just doing the sales. So
The actual like bagging,
checking out, checking
out,
cashier, stocking shelves.
Like organizing events. We're talking about so many events.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's good. Oh, I'm gonna put communicating with partners.
Designing the physical space. And finding spaces.
What about choosing?
Those are kind of like less, like you don't do those so many times, but so maybe
but
I know they're considered key activities. They might be. I mean, once you do it, I guess it's kind of key, right? You want.
Well, I guess if we're expanding, right? I mean, hopefully, fingers crossed, we're going to be always looking for new.
Yeah. But that, sorry, I meant like it's not like, anyway, I think it's fine because it's still very big. If you're going to get a space, it's obviously a huge thing. So you would have to make sure that the space is designed well and obviously.
What about like branding? Isn't that like the same? Like make sure that all the spaces have like the same concept and the website kind of has the same concept.
I'm going to say maintaining consistent branding, or like I'm going to just maintaining the brand.
Yeah, branding.
Because I guess there's like the brand will also like evolve and stuff, and somebody's going to be maintaining that and doing stuff with it.
Maintenance.
Collecting the product that we sell.
Yeah.
Collecting the what? Sorry.
Selecting the products that we are selling.
Oh yeah.
And also like sustainability keeps changing, so maybe like
evaluation of the products we sell.
Evaluating products. Or Jennifer, I think, did you have one?
Maintaining both, I guess I was thinking of the store in particular, but also I guess there's things to maintain with the online store.
So I'm going to take up the whole board eventually. Yeah, and it was like maintaining the website, maintaining online store. Do we say social? We kind of, social media managing. Yeah, so that kind of covers a lot of stuff there. What's content? What's more specific? There's going to be like online educational stuff, right?
And working with other co-ops, or
like coordinating with other co-ops. Yeah. In the community.
Outreach is sometimes a good catch-all.
Are you thinking like community outreach? Like kind of like locally? Or were you thinking like, I guess there's like the micro like outreach inside the community, and then there's like I guess like a national level. There's like, more national issues we could get involved with. What do we say?
What about business? I would also mention like internal business education. Like it's important that all the worker owners are like knowledgeable of how the company is doing.
I think training, I feel like co-op training for
it's a little bit different than just training, at least in my mind. Like when I'm thinking about training, I'm thinking about just like teaching them like how to work in the organization, like what the co-op is about. What I'm talking about is just like a system that we and our individuals that provide like input on a regular basis to all the worker owners so they know how the business is doing. That's like
okay.
I think it may be the relationships.
Because like if you're just one member of a team, you may not know how well we're doing on like sales wise or like in terms of any of those business metrics. You may not have no idea. It may seem like it's going well. It may seem like it's going really bad, and that's what that like individual or group of individuals would hopefully be helping people know.
Yeah, I have communicating company news performance to employees or members. Does that sound, does that cover it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Some other co-op related things. I guess like running meetings, right?
Yeah.
Did we mention accounting, like keeping numbers and all that?
Yeah, keeping. I just say accounting. But, I mean, I think
space maintenance, like cleaning and all that kind of stuff.
Retail. Let me see what I have for retail. Retail store cashier. Finding retail space, maintaining the brand, designing the retail space. I guess I'm going to do designing and maintenance. Designing.
What about maintaining on the computers? Depending on what we will have. Like
I had something about maintaining the website.
But what about like the electronic stuff in the store, right? Like because let's say your machines, it's like your end of the year, so sometimes like they have to do something. I know there's some stores that closed because the machines didn't change the date.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
Like IT,
some kind of IT maintenance.
Y2K prep.
Y3K, we got to be prepared. We could put that in our like advertising. We are ready for any computer outage.
What about security so people don't steal?
That's big. Actually, I was reading about Costco and just the fact that they do come in all bulk. There's like 80% less theft because it's like really hard to put.
You can't always buy anything.
Compared to like Walmart grocery these days, which gets
where you can just grab an apple and go.
Oh.
Yeah.
Not that I know. I mean, I've been told that you could walk in and get an apple.
The containers to steal, so they don't have to have a dignity. This joke.
No containers.
And no containers, so people can eat on the go,
There's no eating in line.
What about like taking care of the produce that is spoiled?
Spoilage?
That's what it's called?
Yeah.
What's the name for it? So I've never heard it.
There's got to be a
term. It's like,
I've never heard this term.
Like
stocking. It's like part of stocking, right? I guess it's like unstocking or restocking.
I think it's part of inventory management.
Yeah.
Here we could that could be with actually our relations that we could now. I just came to my mind like key partners. It could be donating the food that is already not good enough for sale. You know, like many grocery
Yeah,
stores,
good.
they donate their food.
We also
So that would be it, but
the kitchen
that
just
would be in key partners.
food prep or food.
What did I do? Press the button.
It's full or something. You can eat.
Miro is full. Did I
Maybe you
lock
can
it?
add
somehow?
one more.
Did I
Like
hit a
what?
button and I locked it?
Is that true?
Let me.
I don't know. Why is it telling him? That's what I'm thinking.
Did I
Like,
lock it
otherwise,
accidentally?
why? I
Oh,
mean,
no.
maybe it's going to be so small then.
Maybe you can't stretch it more.
You can maybe change the
Long
size of it.
Yeah, that's what I was trying.
You know, size there is, and yeah, you can put large, and maybe this way.
Ah, well, let me
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Well, it's weird. It won't let me do. Can I type in here? Okay, I'll just do a second one.
Yeah.
Let me drag this up here. We're kind of on a roll. This will be like the expanded activities. All right, sorry. What was
You gotta
the?
draw an arrow to it or something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What were the two I missed? There was like a couple I missed while I was getting locked out of Miro.
Food prep for the kitchen.
No, what was
Mhm.
the wastage? What was it?
Spoilage.
Oh yeah.
I think I'm just
Well.
suggesting that falls into.
Well, it was
Between-
donate. Right? There was like a donate.
Which is a kind of.
But the donation thing, yeah. I don't know if that would be here or that would be in key partners.
Also, packaging. We'll be packaging things.
Yes.
Well, there's some
Packaging.
Packaging orders.
Okay.
Packing online. I'm gonna say online orders.
Shipping and handling.
Yeah. I'm gonna do shipping. Mm-hmm. Let me just do shipping and handling. I think that covers it better. Shipping and handling. We have a couple more minutes, I think, right?
Probably add receiving to that as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's good too.
Huge.
Yes. Oh man.
Nope, didn't get it. There's 9 there too. Well, yep, okay. That's good. Receiving, yeah. What else? Receiving is good. Is there anything else we need to do for these partners? Kickstarter, what would we need to do for Kickstarter? Maybe this is like a one-time thing, but like,
Marketing. That's like
Branding.
marketing branding.
yeah, okay, yeah. And videos and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, marketing branding, content creation.
Outreach, we talked about outreach. Did we say like supplier relations kind of? No, I can't remember.
Yeah, that's a good vendor relations. Yeah.
Vendor relations, yeah. Communicating with partners. I'm gonna replace that. There's going to be like, if we're working with local farmers, there's a lot of, you got to call them, you got to schedule when they're going to pick it up or like drop it off and how payments are going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Just within accounting, just because it would be
Mhm.
pretty big, would be like pricing, sales,
Mhm.
that sort of thing.
Okay. Moving over this one. Pricing is probably going to be big. Yeah. What else is like HR is like we covered IT stuff to a certain extent. Yeah, we covered IT pretty well.
We covered HR.
Well, we did like employee training, right? We talked about that. We talked about communicating inside the company. Is there anything, I guess, is there anything else in HR
just like just thinking just general employee happiness, like
Happiness, right?
engagement.
Hiring and all that.
yeah, that's true. Yeah. Okay.
Hiring is gonna be huge. Something like this, yeah.
Pension stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Hiring.
I think yeah, HR is gonna be big, right? Like from my
Yeah.
research on these things, like making sure employees and workers are happy will help lead to less turnover, which generally is better for the company and profitability and job satisfaction, all these things.
All right, we're doing good. It's 24 after. If we finish in a minute, then we're on track.
Mhm.
Wow, we're crushing it today.
Yeah. So what are the, like, I'm trying to think of other departments in a normal company. We covered some marketing things. We talked about social media management. We talked about branding,
Legal.
advertise, like actually like promotions, right? Like product promotions. Legal. I don't know. So specific things you're thinking of for legal? Definitely like contracts. If we're gonna have contracts
Yeah.
with partnership contracts.
Even like leasing or renting or buying the property, I don't know. So that's why you need lawyer for that.
Yeah, definitely.
And maybe some kind of liability.
Yeah, if you have retail, for sure, if there's retail space.
Yeah.
Let me just do insurance, I think.
Lawyer for every small signature.
Liability, theft. Let's do. I'm just
We're
gonna
still
do
in
like
key
blanket insurance. So what was that?
This is still key activities, right?
Yeah, it's just kind of overflowing onto everything else. Marketing, sales wise, is there any partnerships? What kind of community outreach activities? Like, if you could dive into that, what's
I have to leave at 9. I can't stay over.
oh, okay. Well, let's do the last one then. Is there any other last ideas there for key activities? We covered a lot there. Nero didn't even like how much we covered. Cool. I think we just got cool. Yeah, so the last two are easy, I think. Revenue streams. So revenue streams based on customers and value proposition. It's the value, how much value, what are customers willing to pay for the value that we provide. I think it might be good to think of like, I guess it's like kind of hard to guess how much people are going to pay, but like, how much of a premium do you think people are going to pay for these products for like sustainable?
Going to spend the week, if we're saying like it's their food shopping, would that make sense there?
What was it?
Like an estimate of how much they would spend weekly doing their food shopping with us.
Yeah, I think so.
Let's say like $100, just to say a number.
Sure. Yeah.
But we're doing
like,
numbers or the revenue streams, so how we are
I guess it's mostly like revenue streams, but we can, if we want to try to get into numbers.
So it's like,
So groceries would just be one of them.
Sale, like asset sale. Or grocery
Grocery
sales, membership. That's going to be like a
membership,
regular
subscription.
Subscriptions, yeah.
depending on how we want to set that up.
Yeah, of course.
Mhm.
Household goods sales.
So what kind of sales?
Like when I think groceries, I'm thinking just like food goods, but I'm also thinking like household goods.
And the kitchen, like the industrial kitchen sales, that's different.
Yeah.
Like prepared food. Do you think we would for the classes? Do you think we would sell classes? Like, is this like people would come and pay?
Yeah, no, I think some would be like paid tickets, and some wouldn't be. We could, like any other sort of platform, like some courses would be free, and some would be paid.
Maybe more in depth would be paid.
Sure. I mean, yeah.
Like we want people to come, right? We want them to come. So if you have Apple, they don't charge you when you come for.
Yeah, but we could also work with third parties. Like some third party might want to organize an event. They're allowed to, but we take some small piece of it.
Yeah, let's say we would invite some famous chef, so then we would charge for this. Otherwise, it would be free.
Compost sales.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, once we we can have people return their compost and we can sell it back.
There's got to be a good business there of taking people's trash and turning it into dirt.
Yeah.
It's like licensing. So we have licensing.
Licensing like content? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, I think.
What are you thinking? What licensing what?
Like or I was thinking like opening another branch.
Like a franchise kind of
franchising.
Franchising.
I mean, that's if we did the franchising model, but yeah. We could keep it for now. I can't remember.
I'm gonna
merch, like t-shirts and cups and hats or something.
Oh, merch. Like, yeah, that's good. Merch.
And selling
branded.
Sponsorships.
Sponsorships from whom?
Like if we did events, sometimes you get sponsors for those events.
We had mentioned that we wanted to maybe sell our own line of containers.
Like a white label products, or like store.
You buy in the store, you buy your containers, your bags or whatever you need.
Branded products. I would fall into
branded products, yeah. Yeah, it's kind of all in that same bucket. Oop, too far.
Is it also different? Like, would it be paid by cash, paid by credit card, paid online?
Yeah, I was just about to say, like would we do?
One of the questions was like, how are they currently?
How would they prefer to pay?
Yeah,
but that seems weird. That falls into the revenue streams. That seems
sure, because there's different for us it might be pretty straightforward, but you could think of like other businesses, like some might do like a car dealership is going to do financing, or you could pay cash, right? So we could do maybe some people want to do Apple Pay, maybe people do want to do PayPal, maybe people want to do Venmo.
Just
those kind of things.
I always thought revenue streams like represented like the things that you were kind of selling, not like the payment processing.
Yeah.
But I see the question you wrote on your slide saying, how would they prefer to pay? So
yeah,
I guess that comes from that presentation. It just seems weird.
What about, let's say we have like what to call it, like you can subscribe for like weekly, like a box of something.
Subscription.
Yeah, but it would be like a box, right? That each week, or we have, for example, leftovers of this, and people subscribe, so you don't know what you're getting there.
It's like a monthly box where we fill it with like yeah, $40
Like
worth of food every
having
week.
or imperfect foods, like they do it, right?
Yeah.
So we could have something like that. That would be also different revenue stream.
Box, what is that called? Box
Surprise boxes. or-
subscription?
Box.
Box subscription?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Box
Okay.
subscription, yeah. Something like that.
Got about a minute.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe digital ads. Like if we have a YouTube channel, maybe
So we would get money from, yeah, like the YouTube. So yeah, like advertising on top of the content we create.
yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Mhm.
Do
Did
we,
we
do
say
we
membership? Membership kind of
membership and subscriptions.
subscription.
What about like
prep food? Do we do that too? Like cook,
Take Erika said.
Erica said that. I wanna make sure.
prep food? What about like some places do like accounts, like you just put it, like people go in, you just put it on their account, and then like at the end of the month they kind of like send you a bill.
Oh yeah, they still
Maybe
do it.
not sort of like retail. If you know, like is anyone on the like Starbucks app? On the Starbucks app, you don't, at least I think maybe it's just how my account is set up, but I don't pay every time I get a cup of coffee. I just pay once. I pay them $25 once, and then they like take it off my account.
Ahead of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, ahead of time. Yeah.
So like customer account
It's prepaid. It's almost like prepaid.
for Starbucks, that it's prepaid.
Uh-huh.
So it's kind of like buying a gift card and then just using the gift card on the app.
This might be like kind
There's
of
gift cards.
This might be like kind of like a hope one, but like if we took in some like packaging that we could recycle, we could make money from that, perhaps cans and stuff.
Oh, and like returning it, like
dropped it
for
off
the
at our
deposit.
location bid.
Okay, deposit. You know, I was just thinking of, is there any, I don't know too much about this, but this, I wonder if there's a way we could get carbon credits for selling.
Oh yeah, carbon credits.
Without
Right.
packaging.
But even if this physical space, like it's like solar powered or like
Mhm.
I was
Oh,
like,
sure. That's true.
Tempcrete, you're like, maybe we could be carbon sequesters and like
Yeah.
you get carbon credits. I don't know much about that either. Yeah.
I guess we'll research it. Carbon
Yeah.
credits. That's good though. I think I can't even really see. Too many A's. Carbon credits.
Oh.
All right, we're moving over. Can we get moving to the next one?
Yeah.
Adam keeping us focused.
Keeping us honest here.
Well, out of respect to the group.
No, it's good. That's good. Yeah.
It's a hard job to interrupt.
Yeah, totally.
It is.
The worst.
It's very thankless. Until we thank you for doing it. Okay, cost structure.
You, I will not feel bad.
Cost structure. I think it's mostly going to be a summary of like, what are the big costs from our activities and resources and partners. But focusing on what's the most important ones. What are the big ones that we're going to like really want to pay attention to? Where do we want to spend most of our money? So
kind of feels like every key activity has a cost. So
sure, definitely.
Kind of mirrors that list.
Yeah. Well, I think that like you throw these like umbrellas, I think you would say like, cost of goods sold and like salaries, wages. Those are like would be the big.
I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna put it up here and I'll move it, and then we can look. I think you're right. I think we're gonna be talking about activities a lot here. All right, can people read that? Is the text too small?
Oh, it's tiny, but it's okay.
But isn't that right? Like Brad, right? Like
It
a
is.
lot of these activities are like staff related works, right? So that when they fall into just like wages and salaries.
Yep. Yeah, sure. So
We don't need to like
cost of-
really know all of them.
I guess, yeah. Well, I guess what's the best way? Because it's like we.
I mean, there's still other
yeah,
categories below those, but those are some of the big ones.
Let's do salary. We do employee salary. I'm trying to think if like, because some of them, would we be paying out to member? I guess I can't remember how we were. Like, is there some membership where you like work there and you get paid, you pay out to those members?
There are some like that, but depending, how much you give annually, then you have to dedicate, let's say, like 20 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And then you pay less annually, and then you dedicate less hours, right? And then also you have some kind of discount, but you don't pay them, I think.
It depends on the structure.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I'll just leave it at employee salary and we'll know that it means any payout to members or whatever. So I was thinking retail space, maintenance, mortgage, anything else for retail space?
Maintenance, no.
I mean, fixed and variable costs associated with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So cost of goods, retail space.
Advertising.
Yeah.
Marketing.
Yeah, I'm gonna do marketing. And that probably includes, I mean, that could include all of the educational stuff we want to do, community building. I guess that's kind of a big umbrella, right?
That's
Big.
big. Yeah,
That's big.
Yeah, it's a little big. Yeah.
Let me break it down. So advertising, I'll just list them now and we can kind of sort later. Content, including the educational stuff. Advertising, content,
All the
Branding. No, that would be in marketing.
what else would be in marketing?
Branding.
So
It pulls again.
like the
That pulls
like
into
the-
employee salaries in my book because like
yeah, because I think it's just going to be something that's like something somebody would do. Unless we would like outsource it, I guess, if we were going to like hire an agency, if we're going to go that route. That could
it's
be
still like right now I think it would fall under like employee salary. Like we don't know that, right? So it's gonna be
Or you put just like an umbrella item for consultants.
yeah. We'll probably have some sort of consultants. Yeah.
distribution.
Yeah. Do shipping.
Or the supplies themselves.
Cost of goods sold.
What is it?
Cost of goods sold.
Yeah.
Cost of goods.
The goods.
Good. Okay.
Equipment
kind of-
like computers or things like that. Cash register.
Equipment. Are you thinking mostly retail? I'm gonna put retail equipment.
Taxes.
Oh man, what a bummer.
Tech, so like online services.
Tech costs.
And what about what the food and things we want to donate or charity? Like all the charity events and things we want to do they're going to cost us, right?
Yeah, from an accounting standpoint, is that considered? Do you like write that off?
Well, I would just like put that under like community development.
Okay.
Right. So I'm sure there'll be some costs associated with these type of things, not just like what Erika said, but a bunch of stuff.
Mhm.
But I will say, like, what about like online you know,
So like website
website stuff? Yeah.
software. Yeah, I think that kind of covers.
But
Covers a bunch
insurance,
of-
where would that be?
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, what other retail has a lot of expenses. What else is there?
Contractors or that's employees?
Well, I guess contractors, because there'd probably be like contractors for like retail maintenance, right? Like there's
No,
gonna be like,
yeah, like lawyer would be a contractor probably.
oh, okay,
'Cause
yeah, that's a good one.
Oh, is it? I thought consultant.
no, I don't.
Yeah, what are
Sort
let's
of the same.
expand.
Kind of the same thing, but anyway.
Consulting's like a fancy contract.
Anyway, we can always. This is a brainstorm. We can like whoever sort of.
Yeah.
They can sort of fall these days.
This is a small one, but there's like filing fees for starting a business.
You're on.
Yeah.
Filing fees?
Yeah, for you submit anything to the government. For,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, for review of the.
Yeah.
That's
I just think so.
like.
Oh, sorry, fees. Filing fees. Yeah. What else is there? As far as
I mean, I don't know how much into the weeds we want to go, but like usually like for POS systems, like you're gonna be essentially renting that from whatever company.
oh
we
yeah,
use.
so let me do website, software, and hardware. I'm going to combine. That kind of covers a lot of bases there. We've already kind of talked about in here, point of sale, inventory, somewhere. Where did we did it?
What about like losses? When the-
Resources, that's in resources. What about what?
I don't know if that counts like losses, like when you like the product goes bad or like you just
Yeah.
I don't know how to call it.
I don't know if it, I don't know if it's considered a cost though. I think that's like a
Cost of goods sold, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that, yeah, that would kind of go under there. Is there any? We talked about
I
marketing.
mean, what about like just? I mean, you wrote maintenance, but I think it didn't exactly cover it. Just like running the space, electricity or whatever.
Yeah, utilities.
Utilities, yeah, that's a better way to put it.
That's on your retail space generally.
I can put utilities.
We have some utility costs, right?
Equipment.
mean,
What about?
All the fixed costs, all the variable costs, like that's all under retail, I assume there, no?
Yeah, you can just add it, like, yeah.
There's like the Visa MasterCard company has a
That's good.
different companies that charge for that.
Oh yeah.
Totally.
I'm gonna add finance fees too.
Finance.
There's gonna be like, you know, for loans or any kind of, every time we walk into a bank, you know, they have to get you for something.
Beak wet.
The what?
So they got to get their beak wet.
Yeah. Was there anything that's like co-op related with like, there's a couple in the activities where it's like communicating, internal communication. I guess there's not really, I'm trying to think if there's like a cost to that. Is there like any, I think that just goes under employee salary probably. It's just like, it's stuff we're gonna have to do.
what about like events just for the employees? So I don't know, for example, like yoga events or some kind of, to make people
Definitely
more.
events. Like event
For
rentals.
employees, though.
But for employees,
Oh,
I mean,
like
for employees.
So maybe that's like that would fall into like human
HRs,
HR like events or something.
Employee events. I'm gonna
Or
do HR,
practices.
Employee picnic.
employee benefits.
Maybe employee benefits.
Employee benefits, yeah.
So it kind of covers like even like health insurance and
like
like.
Christmas
you know.
party or something.
But events is a good one too, because there's like event space. You'd have, if we're gonna do a big event, we'd want to like have space for it. We'd rent, or if we want like an event coordinator.
Right. All right, guys, we have 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh wow, we cruised through it. Nice.
I think it was good though. I think
Is
we.
that the last one?
That's the last square.
That was it.
Oh wow.
Okay, so we need to figure out how to tackle
The
this. so we
boxes,
have
I think,
all these things.
As we went, the boxes got bigger. Just, like start over here and we're like, oh, whatever. And it's like next thing you know, we can't even.
Yeah.
Who is volunteering? Everyone.
All right, let's keep moving. While we're on track here, Vivek, do you want to get into the finance or meeting related chat?
I actually kind of like, well, I don't know, how do we tackle this? My part can actually wait. I'm kind of curious, like, how do we go from
What's
here?
the next steps? Talk next steps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to stick to the BMC for a minute?
Yeah. So I think the next step is to take this and, I think somebody should take what we have here and do their best at, do their best at trying to figure out what we should research first, and then kind of bring it back to the group and say, like, I think we should research these things and see if there's, and start to like make connections between these and kind of like have research behind it.
But should we not be grouping these a little bit more, Brad? Like, should we not be consolidating this a little bit, like organizing this like very long laundry list, and then trying to figure out like which ones we should be like researching first? Or am I mistaken?
No, I mean, like, that's definitely something. It's definitely good to do. Yeah, I mean, I guess, do you think that's something we should do as a group, or do you think that's something we should do like outside of a meeting?
Oh, I would do that. I mean, that's what I did last time. Everyone gave us like sort of authority. We showed the process of how we like sort of categorize stuff.
Okay, so maybe that's the next step.
Or maybe it's like a couple of us, like 2 people tackle each of like couple squares or something.
To summarize, yeah. I think that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's 8 of them, right? So maybe
it's not
2
4,
per couple,
7,
and then people can
9.
work together.
Yeah. Maybe like I like someone can volunteer to like figure out like who, the 2 people per box or something.
Just randomly, because like
just randomly.
We don't need to.
Yeah, but someone can just create.
I can do it then.
You'll create like a little doc for like. Okay.
I do it, and then I do randomly.
And then you'll send it to that
2 people.
And everyone will know it. You can send it on Slack or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the first thing is just categorizing it. Is that correct, Brad? And then
I would say categorizing it and then kind of sorting. I think you want to sort it. I guess it's a little different for each, but like kind of by size. Like customers, you want to like bigger customer groups probably put at the top, and like have really small customer groups at the bottom, just
Like
so you can quickly see
what
what are more niche and what's like a big customer group.
Okay, so first, the task is Ula's going to figure out like who's going to handle each boxes, or like maybe do it in pairs.
Yeah.
So people have support, because this could be a little tricky. And then those people are going to like categorize this like long list into a slightly shorter list because there's probably a bit of overlap on some of these things, right? And then once those are categorized, then we're going to order like the ones that we believe is most important, based on our knowledge and skills or whatever. And then next week we're going to show those groups to each other so that we can review it. Is that the process?
Yeah, I think that's good. Yeah.
And then from there we can start researching like the top ones in each box.
Yeah. So I guess it's not necessarily going to be the top in my mind. Like you may actually want to research like some of the smaller ones, or like I guess that was my thought. Like we may want to start with like for customer segments, you may want to start with like a niche customer group, right, and then kind of expand from there.
Okay.
So it's not necessarily like the top one.
Well, anyway, we have time. So the focus is we have a bunch of tasks between now and next week, and we can figure out that part even next week or during the week. We can figure out some of the logistics of how to go from there. Okay, that makes sense to me.
Guys, I have to jump off at 9.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
Next.
I think that's it.
So I'll quickly summarize. Yeah, so just so folks know, like just thinking ahead, like, and been talking to some finance folks. Russell and I had a conversation with a bank or like a fund that loans money to cooperatives. Also, myself, Erika, and Brad talked to somebody about the feasibility study who also does some fundraising stuff. And or not fund. They also have their own fund. So we're like the process wise, we seem to be on track. Like it sounds like we're doing all the right things. Actually, this is going to take a little longer, so I think it's probably best. I'm going to try to dedicate a little time to like summarizing it well. But I think just generally speaking, I think we're doing all the right things, guys, and but it requires a little bit more time. I don't want to rush this, and I want to get to the last thing of sort of seeing how everyone's doing and stuff. So
yeah, we are not talking about the time meeting.
Oh yeah, because actually, Russell and Calvin still didn't get a chance to fill that out. So I can't tell like if we can figure out an alternative time or not. So Russell's out this week, and Calvin was sick. So
okay, we'll push that to next week then.
Yep. Thanks,
Great.
guys.
All right, so let's get into how did it go? That section.
Jennifer, do you want to start, and then you don't have to worry. You can jump off if you gotta go.
This went really well, I thought.
Want to pick somebody, Jennifer?
Ula.
I think so. It went well. Very fast. I mean, we were thinking brainstorming high speed. Thanks Brad for like and Vivek for the video, for the slides. It's made everything easier. Otherwise, I think it would take us 3 weeks if we will be explaining everything, before each block. So yeah, great job. Next, Vivek.
Yeah, I think it was a great meeting. I think it's like interesting. It's an interesting example of like a meeting model that maybe we can consider. Just like something that's really try to think about something really big and just like do it one thing per meeting. But yeah, it's, awesome execution. Brad, Adam, behind the scenes, you were also helping Brad prep for this meeting. Thanks to you, and obviously Adam, thanks for keeping us on track. So yeah, awesome meeting overall. I feel really good about this and excited next steps. I'm gonna pick Zia. Or Erika's dog, Zia.
Sorry guys, I can move. Yes, I agree with you guys. Like definitely being prepared for this meeting helped a lot, and I think that's why we achieved what we achieved, which is finish this. We didn't even think we could do it. So thank you, Brad and Vivek, for finding like the resources to get prepared, and everybody, because like everybody participated and it felt really light, really went by fast. Thank you. And I pass it to Brad.
I'm pretty much the same. Yeah, it was kind of a roller coaster. It went by fast. I think there's a lot of good stuff here. I think it's gonna take us a while to really like condense it and like digest everything. But I think it's good. It's good. I think it's just good to get everything on the board, and now we can look at it and like now there's something to talk about.
Mhm.
So.
Great.
Was that everybody? I think that.
Adam.
That's
sorry.
Gretel now.
Adam.
Yeah, this is good. I think developing how when you try to work from separate locations, balancing the core meetings versus the working on your own is a challenge. So I think this was a good use of time to just get a lot done during a meeting where everyone could kind of quickly contribute and react. So I think it's a good model for the future. Definitely.
Adam, thank you for keeping us on track. It's not easy.
Yeah, I think we might leave on time. Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome, guys.
Great icebreaker too.
Yeah. Happy birthday, Erika.
Happy birthday, Erika. It's already your time. No, wait.
almost.
It's still 3 hours.
She's 3 more hours.
Close.
In Europe, happy European birthday. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Cool. I'll
See ya.
see ya.
Have a good
We'll see you next week.
Take care. Bye.
Have a great week. Bye, guys.
Good night.
Good night.